Hey guys, beautiful day. The weather is amazing again. It's windy, but it's lovely out. Really nice. And yeah, mixed day for me. As I was talking about earlier, there's a few mixed feelings. Just check that out before I get started. Lovely. Don't know whether I'll go for a swim later, but yeah, for my own mental health and well-being, I need to do what's best for me, like this. Oh, look at that. Oh, Fails looking class. I was just watching a thing by Jordan Peterson. You need to be a monster, you know, all that stuff. Some of it can get a little monotonous, but you either love Jordan or you hate him. But he's a clinical psychologist, so he does know what he's talking about. In that regard, I'm just gonna cross over here. There we go, so I don't get killed. He knows what he's talking about in terms of clinical depression and stuff like that. He's very knowledgeable on the subject, and so I know he will agree with me in a lot of what I'm saying, because I watched the video on it. Just checking that I don't get hit. Look at that. Amazing. Sheep are out in the field. I don't know if you saw them there now. Chilling out. We're back. Cars are flying around the corner, so just gotta be careful. They're getting very close. That should be that now. Hopefully. Yeah, that's the last of them, I think. But yeah, there are things that you should do for your head, and there's things you definitely shouldn't do for, you know. And it was important, just what he was talking about in the video. JP, the original JP Peterson, the rugby player. But this JP was talking about how, you know, there's clinical depression in terms of you might have depression based on the fact that you have a shitty life, you know. And that's what he was saying. You have a horrible life. Bloody hell. And if you have a terrible lifestyle, you know, if you drink regularly, if you don't have a job, if you don't have a relationship. Look at this, just because of this. It increases your odds. But what he was getting at basically was, are you exercising? Do you sit in bed all day? You know, what do you do to look after yourself? And it'd just be like, well, no wonder you're miserable, because you don't do anything good for yourself. Do you know what I mean? But if you are doing all that, like you're exercising and you're looking after yourself, and you're getting out, you're getting some healthy exercise done, but you still feel miserable, then maybe it's time to try chemical intervention. So, SSRI medication, in layman's terms. And it kind of makes sense, you know. I thought it was a very good way of breaking it down. Oh, the Angelus is on. Must be 6 o'clock. But I thought it was a very good way of describing it. I'm just gonna pick while I'm here with them. Just getting off the road there. That's good for my well-being. Taste test. Really good. You'll have to bear with me if I'm a little dozy. The medication I'm on at the minute is making me quite dozy, the mirtazapine, and we had our primary school group in today, so I'm a little worn out. They're usually fine, but then one little thing will set them off. And they're all, I didn't do that, he did that. You know, telling tales on each other. We have to remind them that snitches get stitches. Nobody likes a rat. Before all that, I wonder if I can get the sheep to come over to me. But coming over, fellas. Females. Don't know. I don't know, we'll leave them be. Let's see the horses. Hope you enjoyed that. I really did. It was nice seeing the foal and little baby. We got more. Look at them. They are lovely. I'm gonna pick some of them. Getting off the road there. Taste this. Amazing. Getting sidetracked again as I always do. But just chewing them blackberries as well. Got our last dangerous bend coming up here. Then I think we're good. Look at the size of this bastard. Look at him. Huge. Bit mushy. Won't try that. Bit bloated. Still plenty of good blackberries around. See how much joy I get in that. Getting back to the video. The topic at hand. The point I'm making is sometimes people will give you advice that, you know, it could work, you know, it definitely could. And I think there's an argument for both cases where you should say to people, if you're drinking alcohol all the time and you're depressed, stop drinking the alcohol. And that's something I have to say to myself all the time. But 40 days off now, so get in. You need to stop yourself from putting the depression into your body, you know. I think there should be more of an emphasis on that. Because usually what you see is, and I've seen it a lot myself, and I've been in and out of doctors' offices quite a bit more recently. Especially when it comes to psychiatric medicine. And you just think to yourself, like, they always say, oh, take these antidepressants. They never seem to go and tell you some harsh truths. You're kind of like, oh, who's this dickhead talking to me like this? But at the same time, you probably need to hear, you can't be drinking alcohol, you can't be smoking weed. You know, lots of people smoke. Ooh, you're a dog. Either it's a dog or it's a cow. Don't know. I'm gonna go over and say hello to them anyway. See how my bovine friends are getting on. Said hello to the horses and the sheep. Don't want them to feel left out. Oh yeah. Say hello to them now. How you doing? My bullocks. You're looking well. All the heads turn. Going over? Nah, you're not interested. Not to worry. I'll leave them be. But you ever get those moods where you're like, oh, you know, you just need to exercise, get back into exercise, and you'll feel fine. And you're struggling to leave the house, and you're kind of like, oh, I know I should, but I can't bring myself to do it. I find that a lot of people don't see the value in little bits of exercise, because I've really been struggling, but getting out and doing a walk or cycling, cycling down to the beach, walking down takes forever. Feels like a mountain is ahead of you, and it took me ages to fix my bike because I just couldn't have been arsed. Then I brought it into the shop, got it repaired, put the air into the tyres, and off I go. And I'm away in a hack, because I was walking miles. And funny thing is, when you're walking miles and then you start cycling, it seems a lot shorter, My days are at me now, so I'm getting a few steps in here, walking home from work. And, that's where you can get your little bit of steps in. And I'll feel tired when I get home, but there's a difference between getting home and, when you feel like you're tired and you just want to sit in front of the telly, but you've done something for the day, so you kind of like, okay, I've earned that rest. But if you're sitting indoors all day doing nothing, you're gonna feel like shit. So that's like where I'd start off with. I'm a bit dozy. My brain just feels all over the shop. That's the trouble with today's group. Some people are littering again. There's people littering all over the place. Any Budweiser drinkers out there, they're all fucking pigs. Loads of cans getting left lying around. It just doesn't look nice in this beautiful county. They keep around the place. They leave them in these trenches. These trenches end up filthy. People just fucking cans out the window. Must be people drink driving, because most common cans I'm finding are Red Bull, Monster, Budweiser. The cheapest cans as well, so I like to just keep the place tidy if I can, Plus now you're getting money back for them, so more money in my pocket, Doesn't take you much time, but people are manky. But getting back to my main point, I'm struggling here. Getting back to the video. The worst things you can do for your mental health are sitting in all the time, which is why I don't play video games. I used to be bad for them. Just get really annoyed, when you're sitting in all day. I know some people during lockdown stayed in all day and did nothing productive for their head. And you're bound to feel like shit, Cars are flying around the corner. Keep my wits about me. The mirtazapine lately has me quite spaced out, if I'm being honest. Very tired, but I'm also lifting my hand up feels like it's delayed. Probably not safe to be walking home. I'm driving tomorrow, but maybe it'll mean I'm more relaxed behind the wheel. I hope. But yeah, I feel like when you go to a doctor or a psychiatrist, well, they are doctors, but they don't ask the right questions. Usually my experience has been they're listing out stuff for you before you've even finished speaking. And then they go, right, script, medication, that's what you need. Instead of dedication. Nobody likes being told what to do, but I feel like if you are drinking loads and you're not exercising, the two go hand in hand, don't they? Some people can. I was before, but it does get harder. It makes it harder to keep up with healthy habits if you're drinking alcohol all the time. and it always ruined my progress, if I was exercising loads. My brother's up ahead, petting the dog. Hey, there he is. Lovely collie. He's made a new friend. Lovely fella. Lovely chap. You, hello.
You probably live in there.
Yeah, you probably live in there, don't you? Yeah. Now sit. You. Sit. Sit. You. Oh, do you smell doggy off me? Hello. Hello, you lunatic. You beautiful lunatic. Oh, to me. See? Check out the weather now. The brother's heading off, looking after that wonderful collie. The rain. Made a new friend. That's good for depression. Very good. Yeah, the collie's following my brother home. Lovely dog. But yeah, if you're sitting in all day, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, which a lot of people do, and wonder why they're not getting any better. And weed is getting a reputation as being the be all and end all, but it's a depressant. Not a lot of people know that. If you're smoking weed all the time, your motivation goes to shit, your energy goes to shit, you don't have the motivation for anything. You might be more chilled out, but how long will that last? If you're not exercising, get out of the house. Just go for a walk. Go for a walk to the shop or down to the beach if you're lucky like me. And some people, I get that anxiety can play a factor in why they don't leave the house. I get it, completely. If you've a dog, think of the dog. I used to always be struggling because of anxiety to leave the house, but with little Westy, he needed a walk. He wasn't very energetic, so going for a walk with him and I'd chat away to him when I was walking. And that was a motivation for me to leave the house as well, because he needed a walk, so I was thinking of somebody else besides myself. Because when I was younger, I really struggled with my anxiety, and if I wasn't careful, I think it would have kept me housebound. Agoraphobic, Plus, when you're young and your brain hasn't fully developed, you struggle to go out if your mates aren't going out. Everything's dependent on what your mates are doing. Trying to get teenagers motivated ain't easy. I'm trying myself right now, on the job that I'm in. They're difficult. I find most of them are good, but very hard to motivate them. They want constant entertainment and attention. You can't really blame them because that's the world they're growing up in, where there's always something to do and constant stimulation. But I keep seeing more and more things popping up about being comfortable, being bored, and why boredom's a good thing. We need to get better at dealing with it, because we're not going to be entertained all the time. So it's important that we learn the skills now. But there's a difference between boredom and depression, I was still feeling miserable, even though I was cycling, walking, swimming. I have to do that, or have to do something every day, It was foolish to think that I'd have that motivation every day. But sometimes you just gotta get out of the house, just leave. Cycle, go for a cycle, get to the beach. When you get there, you'll feel a lot better for it. Because for me, I struggle with the motivation all the time, but the difference is I still go. I just drag myself, you know, whether I want to or not. Well, I always want to. But I've realised that I might not always want to go, but I know that I'll feel much better when I'm there. And it's hard as a kid, you know, you do need people to tell you what to do because your brain's not fully developed, but you need to get the discipline to do it yourself. You know, a lot of people will just sit in and do nothing, they'll sleep all day. Thankfully, I was never someone to just stay in bed all day. I have done it before in my life, you know. That's not to say I've never done it. You know, I have done it, but I have the discipline now to say to myself, get out of bed and you'll feel better, you know. And I know that the fear when you have been out drinking, you know, it just makes everything worse. Way worse. You know, sitting in bed just hoping that you can sort everything out, it's not going to work. People try it, but rare does it work. So, gotta get your arse out of bed first and foremost, and everything should feel a lot better. But I know there's a lot of people who won't do that because everything feels pointless, and I get that as well. And that to me is what depression is when you're trying, you know, you're getting out and you're doing all the things you need to do. It's alright to pull back from that sometimes as well. It's okay to rest, but when is the right time? You kind of have to get good at reading your body and knowing that your mind's playing tricks on you. It's telling you not to do things that are good for you because it's too much effort. Don't compare yourself to everybody else though. You'll know when you're tired, but you'll also know that I'm not doing what I should be doing, if that makes sense. So if you're not getting out and doing your exercise, and it doesn't have to be mad, like I say, I walk, I cycle, I swim. I don't run. I did run before, but got injuries from it. I kept trying to get back to it and it just doesn't motivate me, you know. I just don't enjoy it. I've tried it. I was actually quite good at it before. I always hated it. I haven't met anyone who enjoys it. They do it for health and fitness, but even the mental aspect of it. Like, I can get myself out and do a cycle and enjoy the cycle, but with running, I'm like, when is this fucking over? When is this fucking over? You know, I'm never enjoying the moment, so there's no point because it's mentally too draining as well as physically. But physically, Jesus, it's very draining. Wish I'd discovered the value of walking sooner. Because walking will burn fat and it'll burn calories, you know. Moderate exercise has been proven to be even more beneficial for long-term health. There'll probably be a study to say that it's not. Beautiful evening, really nice, absolutely stunning. Oh, I'm gonna say hello to these lads. Yeah, you want to come over for a chat? The other group weren't as friendly. Coming over? Yeah. I'll leave you be. Yeah. Hello. No? Okay. Not to worry. They're all a bit quiet today. The turbines over there. That's another thing, gratitude, you know, take joy in the little things. I take joy in my own family don't appreciate this, like they're always like, oh, we can't sit in a cafe for 2 hours like you, but The reason I can do that and the reason I love doing it is because it wasn't always something I could do, you know? Just sitting there enjoying your cup of coffee or muffin or a cookie or whatever you got, you know? And I could just sit there and relax, and I take great pleasure in it because as a kid I was very agitated, so cafes are something which I love now, you know, and I kept on trying to get my family to go with me because I was like, look, let's go, and that's their own issue that they can't sit and just enjoy the peace and tranquility, you know, not mine. You know, you can't force them to do things they don't want to do, but it kind of makes me think maybe it wasn't all my fault, do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll go and think, oh, it was my fault, we could never go anywhere, and because it was always uneasy, but so were my mum and my dad, so I was probably picking up on that stuff without even realising it. You know, it was never as if it was peaceful to begin with, it was always stressful. I'm taking joy in the peaceful things, you know, the nice things. You know, being in a lovely gastro pub or a restaurant and having a nice meal. Take time, you know. I did feel a bit hypocritical here because I was doing a mindful eating meditation. I was like, can I eat the fucking thing? And they were like, no, just sit on the plate. And I was like, I don't have a plate. I was eating a banana, so I was like, not putting the fucking banana on a plate. I get that some of it's very twee and cringy, but if you don't try it, don't judge it, you know. For me, swimming is my meditation. Just letting myself flow. It's physical, you know, and I recommend that to anyone who is like me and you struggle to stay easy, you know. I really do. I get very easily agitated. So, physical meditation, something where you have to bring yourself around. What I mean by that is, if I get in the sea and it's a cold day, I'll feel the cold a lot more if I don't breathe, you know. So I get in one body part at a time, and it actually helps me do another type of meditation without even realising it, which is like a body scan, because my feet, my legs are cold, then my torso, then my arms. So you're doing it without even realising it. That's why it's so good, you know. And if I'm particularly agitated or stressed, I feel the cold a lot more, you know. But if I take a moment and I breathe in, I get in the water, I don't feel as, you know, pissed off with the world. Or as hateful. Definitely not. It helps. And you're not forcing yourself to do something you're not comfortable with necessarily, you know. Some people are uncomfortable with the water, but I'm not, so I guess each to their own. You'll have to find what works for you, but that works for me so well, which is why I do it nearly every day, you know, because if I leave it for a long period of time, I don't feel as good. Drinking alcohol, that stops you, you know, that means you're more likely to go, oh, not today, you know, I don't feel great, so fuck it, I'm not doing it. But then you do it once, you do it again, and all of a sudden you're not doing something that's good for you, and you're doing things that are bad for you. So like, going back to what Jordan Peterson said, it was like asking people about their lives. Well, you know, do you have hobbies? Do you have goals? Do you have a job? No, they have welfare in the States. I know he's Canadian, where they have free healthcare and it's meant to be really good, but he was talking about the US where, you know, you're on welfare checks. Here we have the dole, and we have a lot of people on the dole who probably could work, you know. And the point he's kind of making is, well, you don't work, so, you know, you're not contributing anything that's going to make you feel worse. He was like, do you have anything that you do to relax when you're out of work? It's kind of like, no. Are you satisfied with your job? No. So there's a few different things, and like, look, they're not all easy fixes. Don't have all the answers. But how many of us are satisfied with our jobs? How many of us have hobbies outside of work? You know, I mean, work is something at least that you can put your time and your energy into. If it's something that motivates you, at least, you know. I'm using it at the moment to, take away from all the seriously mixed messages I'm feeling, all the fucked up emotions I'm feeling since my granddad passed away, you know. I'm kind of trying to distract myself any way I can. And work is something you have to do, so it's something that's good for distracting you. Very good. Place is looking really nice now. But another thing was relationships. I've never had a full long-term relationship, so that would explain why I feel miserable in one way, And I noticed something before, which you might find interesting. I certainly did. When I was dating a girl down here, I didn't feel the need to post as much on social media to get Instagram likes, Didn't feel the need to post as much shite just to get likes. I felt satisfied, because I was going out with someone. I felt fulfilled in a way. You're kind of like, oh, okay, you're going out with someone, so being with them was the actual moment of pleasure, You want to put it like that. Can't think of any other way of putting it. But the way I felt was, this is actually real, and the feeling I got from being with that girl was better than anything, any likes that I get on social media, which isn't real. I hope that makes sense, because it's actually being with someone, hugging them, kissing them, and you're kind of like, this is better, way better than social media. A lot of people like to text, and then when you meet them in person, they're not very good, and I'm kind of like, I'd rather see you in person. I fucking hate texting. I'd rather be there with you, So if I seem a bit over eager, it's because I like you, But a lot of people aren't like that, and a lot of people spend more time on these jokes, texting each other, and then when you meet them in person, you forget they actually go out together because they're on the phones. The amount of people who are in couples, power couples, and you're fucking sitting there like, you guys are together, you barely looked at each other since you got here. You look like you despise each other. And to me it's very fake, it's trying to give the impression that they love each other and then post it on Instagram. 5 years together, 5 years strong and all that. All my mates post this shit and it really annoys me. 8 years strong, my love, my rock and all this crap. And I'm sitting there going, and yet when we were at the airport, your girlfriend works at the airport, we pop in and say hello to her. One of my mates says, who posts all this shit? He goes, no, fuck that, we'll never get rid of her. 8 years strong, you obviously love each other, Jesus. And that's the thing for me, it's like, if I'm going out with someone, I have to at least want to be in their company. Not every minute of every day now, fair enough, but if you get into a relationship with someone before that, get into a relationship with nature. Look at this. Ooh, absolutely beautiful. We'll head for a swim later, definitely. But yeah, if you're in a relationship with someone, people seem to think you have it made, but if you're in a relationship with someone you despise, you're going to be miserable in that too. Being in a bad relationship is said to be just as bad, if not worse, than being single. Don't know how true that is, but where I'm getting my facts from might be a little bit suspect, but people throw random facts out all the time and preach it like it's gospel. But I certainly think, like, if you're single for a long time, it's not a good thing for you. But neither is throwing yourself into a relationship immediately. You know, you want to be with someone you have an emotional connection with. You know, as if it's someone you're physically attracted to, but you have, you know, they're thick as pig shit. She's got a tight ass and a cracking set of knockers. That's pointless though. Maybe not for sexual pleasure, but you can be fuck buddies. But certainly not going to make you feel fulfilled emotionally. Getting a bit graphic, I apologise. But you know what I mean. Be with people who make you feel good, you know, and big you up. We're hearing a lot of that lately. But it's true. No use being around people who just drag you down all the time, you know. Fuck that. I'm appreciating my own company a lot more because I'm cutting out people, you know. Oh, hello. Sorry. Hello. You. Yeah. Little Jack Russell. It's okay. A little bit scared. Not to worry. They say you either get a really lovely Jack Russell or a real yappy Jack Russell. I've mixed feelings. I don't know, they're usually friendly enough. Any dog is if you're friendly with it. But yeah. Know your own mind and self-worth before you know, start thinking if I just get into a relationship I'll feel better, all my problems will be solved. Because believe me, I thought that. It never works out that way. This will help you. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful afternoon. Yeah, so be with someone who makes you feel good about yourself, you know, and you feel like you want to meet up with them. So many of my mates, and they hate their girlfriends, you know, they can't stand them when they're with them. They never talk to them when we're out together, but they're convenient for sex, you know, and it's amazing to hear that from people who are so young, but look, it's the way we're taught to be now. I'd rather have a connection with someone, to be honest, but that seems to make me the weirdo. For whatever reason. So yeah, try and find employment that fulfills you, makes you feel good about yourself. Easier said than done. Try to find the perfect partner. Easier said than done, I know. Try to get to know yourself first and foremost though. And that is again easier said than done, but I'm always shouting on about boundaries, and that's something you need to have. A lot of people aren't taught that, but you know, you kind of just have them or you don't. And you only realise if you have them or you don't when you get older. Save yourself a lot of heartache and set good healthy boundaries. That's the best advice I can give, and the rest will follow. Alright? So I've done enough talking today. And I'm a bit all over the shop, dozy bollocks, so that's enough from me. Stay well, guys. Hope you're having a good week so far. Alright? Slán.